Good morning, guys. Welcome to this installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs, and I want to thank you for joining me as always. Greatly appreciated. This oil change is going to be significantly important because the car is actually in use now, and we're going to finally get the oil and seafoam that has been sitting in this particular engine, I believe either since February or March. So today is September 28th, and we are going to perform this because I didn't want to really drive the car with the oil that's in here for long. I mean, just the first couple of drives I didn't think it was going to matter, but the oil's been in here since March or February, and then we added our second batch of Seafoam to kind of clean out all of the neglect that was in this engine before I bought it. And as you can see, the oil is looking darker than it was. Definitely got some stuff up there, but so far this car has really been holding up pretty well. Now, I know the last two videos that you've seen on the Aztek, that's all I've really talked about, is how good the car is performing and stuff, and I don't want to jinx any of that. I mean, I'm sure stuff's gonna arise. I'm not saying it's perfect. It's definitely not perfect. We've already got a couple of other bugs to figure out here in time, but for now it's actually doing really well. But yeah, so technically this is day number 4 of taking the Aztek out since we've put it on the road for the first time. So day number 4, the Fusion was actually sitting here for like the 3 days that I was driving it. We took it out yesterday for the first time in a couple of days because we had to actually make a long trip, and obviously this thing is not going to make a long trip. So yeah, I mean, but for the most part, just the last couple of days I've been driving the Tech, just still kind of maybe breaking some things in, or just kind of seeing how things are holding up so far. And I must say, we're still doing pretty good. I forget how much mileage we put on it. I mean, I want to say I put maybe 60 to 70 miles on it already. We'll check the tripometer here when we get in. But I think about 5 miles ago, the service engine light came back on. So for the first, 2 days, really, two and a half days or so, the service engine light has stayed off, and that's really surprising. But I know why it keeps coming on, and that's because we have a fault with the oil pressure level, or oil pressure switch, which is down here under the exhaust manifold on the driver or front side of the engine. I had a code scanner months ago, and the code came up for it. I forget what the exact code was, but it indeed was a closed oil pressure switch, and if the switch is remaining closed, the circuit's remaining closed, then the car has no idea if the engine has oil pressure or not. Which also means, if the car ends up having no oil pressure, then engine goes kaboom. But I think the car does have oil pressure, surprisingly enough. The engine sounds good when it runs, and yeah. So the sensor or switch, I wanted to replace it today. I might still replace it today, but I'm not 100% sure if I have the right tool to do it, especially from where it's located at under the exhaust manifold. I could get to it under the car, but I'm not 100% sure. I think I can get to it under there. It's like right, not too far from the oil filter underneath. So, I mean, I do believe I can get to it. My problem is I don't know if I have the right size tool or not to do it. So I might look at that today while I'm at the parts store. I might, pull one out of the box and see what size it takes, because I don't know offhand. So yeah, that's obviously a very important thing that we're going to have to replace anyway, because I'm going to need to know, especially the more if we drive it, if we end up with any kind of oil problems, I'm going to need to know if we have oil pressure or not, instead of waiting for the last minute tick, 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 knock, 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 boom scenario. We definitely don't want that. But other than that, everything else seems to be doing okay. This replacement transmission fluid line, still dry. Haven't seen any puddles anywhere. I mean, I know there might be a couple of small leaks under the engine, and I think that might be from the Seafoam, because I don't think they were leaking when I bought the car, but the oil plug has a very, very tiny drip hanging off of it. I don't know if the Seafoam has been in here too long and it's eating away at some of the gaskets, or maybe it cleaned up a lot of the gasket surfaces where all the grime and stuff over the years was, and I don't know. But as of right now, I mean, for what we've driven on it, you could see we are still completely full. And yeah, so that's really it. So we're gonna head over to the parts store and get our supplies, and we're gonna come back here and get to it. Also, you know, driven it for 4 days, look at the amount of brake dust that has accumulated on these wheels from how long these rotors were sitting here, these rusted and awful rotors and pads. So the wheels that were very shiny just a couple of days ago, oh, you can see how all of our nasty stuff is returned. So yeah, we're gonna eventually get new brakes, obviously. I'm surprised that these ones feel as good as they do, considering how awful they look. But there's still a lot of meat on the pad. So before we head off, let's see. We are at 170,549 miles on the odometer now. It's nice to finally see the odometer moving. And I did add some more gas to it, so it brought the gauge back up to the halfway mark. And if we hit the trip, we put 68 miles on it. So we're going to take it to the parts store. We're going to get the oil warmed up and get it circulated so the Seafoam and everything gets mixed in. All the contaminants, you know, try to get out as much as we can. And then we're going to come back here and obviously drain it all out. So I will see you guys in a bit. All of the bumps and jitters that I hit over all these roads and stuff, man, they do make me nervous. I'm always afraid that the car is just gonna fall apart if I, you know, hit these jitters and stuff. Because Northeast Ohio does not have the best roads, obviously. So even if the roads are fixed from potholes and stuff, it's usually a bunch of areas where coal patch was placed, and it just makes the road very jittery and very bumpy. I mean, granted, these shocks feel amazing, the new shocks and struts and stuff, but I mean, as far as like the structure of the car, I'm just like, the radiator can fall out. I don't know, maybe I'm just being paranoid, but no, she seems to be holding up pretty well. Can't wait to get this one wheel sensor fixed though, so this brake warning stays off. Go ahead and give the ramps their first try on the tech. Really beginning to like these things. Obviously, you can never trust them 100%. Alright, so here's a look-see. After we've driven it for so long, I am seeing that. That might be old grease from when we had the CV issue, because it was kind of, well, maybe not. Hold on, what's that? What's that? Looks like no, it looks like the CV CV grease. You know what? Is my boot still on there? The CV grease may have flung. So I don't think that that's anything new. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll try to clean it off when it, everything cools down. But you can see the CV. This boot popped off several times, and I had to stick some stupid aftermarket clip on there. And maybe the clip isn't tight, and maybe grease is flinging out everywhere once it gets hot. That could be a possibility. Let's see. Well, I just had it on, obviously, but you can see what I'm talking about. You can see how it's just slightly, there, and it was hanging off of this wiring harness right here. Yeah, see? So I don't know, like I said, if that's the Seafoam eating up all the seals, or if I just have to get a new sensor with a new O-ring and a new drain plug, possibly. So here's our oil filter, obviously, and right above that, ouch, well, that little wire there and that little thing there, that's our oil, our switch. Now, I did buy that switch, and unfortunately I don't think I've got the tool to get to that. So it honestly seems like the easiest way to possibly get to that is to oh man, with the filter off, baby. From the top you can see the exhaust manifold there, so it lays just under that exhaust manifold, and I'm not 100% sure how easy it's going to be to get from the top. Plus the exhaust is going to be piping hot right now. So I did buy the sensor. I guess the good thing is you don't necessarily have to have the oil drained out of the engine to change that. I just wanted to do it because I was doing all this today, but like I said, I don't think I've got the tool. I'm probably, even if I had a socket, I might have to buy a swivel socket maybe. But I think it takes a 1 1/16 socket, deep well. I think that's how you get it off. How's everything else looking other than that weird grease issue here? Let's see, how's our transmission pan looking? See, it doesn't look like much else is really leaking at this time. I think I had that weird issue because the car was sitting up a little, and everything was angled, and I think I might have overfilled the transmission when I put the new fluid in it. Then I thought maybe my little rubber gasket on my pan might be leaking because I replaced it with the filter in the transmission, but I haven't seen anything dripping on the ground with the exception of just that one time. So yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I don't really see anything else. Nothing that I've replaced at this time is leaking. Our transmission lines are looking good. We already checked the upper one earlier. My power steering lines don't seem to be doing anything. Just that little weird thing there, I'm gonna have to see. Just keep an eye on that, maybe try to clean that off and maybe see if that boot is torn. I don't think that boot was torn. So I was really surprised that the parts store didn't have any really good oil change specials going on for conventional oil. I remember back in the day it used to be like $18.99 for 5 quarts of conventional and a filter. This was $27, and it's the store brand. It's not even anything else. Huh. So I'm seeing that. Now that could be from our Seafoam. Obviously the more that I'm driving it, the more I'm seeing, that. So hopefully that's not an issue. We'll leave that open for vacuum, suck some, get the flow in there. So what I'm going to do is, obviously we're going to go underneath, we're going to drain this out. And in the basement I have these 4 bottles here, and each one of these is containing about 1/2 quart of clean conventional that I've had. 3 of these are from, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump them in through here with the drain plug open, and hopefully we can flush a little more you know, contaminants out of the crankcase. I know it's probably not going to amount to much, but you know, it'll kind of go through and kind of give it a small flush. So maybe, I don't know, there's about maybe 2 quarts there roughly ish. So might be a waste of good oil, but I mean, there's not much there to do a whole change. So we're just gonna do that. We're gonna dump it through, flush some of it out, and maybe it'll help in the long run. I don't know. Yeah, I don't like the color of that. I really hope. I don't know, this engine's just been. This engine was poorly taken care of before I bought this thing. So let's get underneath here. It's nice to know that I'm pretty sure this is all I'm going to need. Done this thing enough times now, so this should be a 15. Yes, it is. Alright, this is going to be hot. Okay. Yeah, that plug was on there tight, so the plug can't be bad. Probably that seal. So this is where we're going to see how it looks after being driven a few days, and obviously sitting in here since February, March, whatever. Ooh, very hot. Alright, so it doesn't really look like anything different than regular oil at this point. Doesn't look like there's any funny coloring. Doesn't really look like chocolate milk, which is good. I'm not putting Seafoam back in here this time. I'm going to let it run without the Seafoam for a little while. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, I see some lighter coloring. Alright, so I think we're just about done. Oh, of course it's going to be windy. Alright, so now I'm going to put the camera down. I'm going to go up on top. We're going to dump that clean oil in. Hopefully you guys can see it. I didn't bring the... Oh, you can a little bit. Yeah, we'll... Right there. So I'm just going to dump it through. And maybe we could flush a little more of that nasty stuff out. Alright, so that was the last one. And I don't know, just let it run out a little bit. I didn't really see anything come out with it, so it looked like just the clean oil maybe came straight out, but it is what it is anyway. So I'm going to let that sit open for a little while. I think at this point I could probably attempt to get to my filter. I'm probably going to need to use my my pliers maybe. You know, I never think I tighten it that tight, but apparently I do a pretty decent job at doing that. There we go. Alright, so bucket here. Still covering there. See, the coloring on that still looks pretty light too. A little more. I think that might be it. Try not to drop this weird angle. Alright, there we go. Yikes. Our gasket's with it. Gasket's with it. Sweet. Alright, well, and of course, I moved the drain pan too far. All my little drips are going over the side. It's okay, my driveway is forever scarred with automotive fluids. Alright, so of course, you know, our new filter is all lubricated. I wiped off the seal area. You can see it's still looking pretty decent up there. Now we just got to get this back on. I think we got it. There we go. Okay, starting to snug it up. It's such a weird area trying to tighten them, so sometimes with these rubber gloves or these grip gloves, it helps a little bit. So there we go. I think that's good. That is good. All right. This is still dripping out. In the meantime, we'll wipe this plug off and inspect it just to make sure everything looks okay on it. What's that? Got a glob of something on there? Probably from the ground, maybe. Yeah, so if we take a look at this plug, it really does look pretty decent. The seal looks smooth. It might be old, but it looks like it's still, pretty decent seal around it. So we'll see. I just think maybe the Seafoam started maybe seeping through once it all settled, in the engine. I don't think we're gonna get much more out of this. So wipe off the back as always. Put this up on there. And torque it down. That's pretty tight. I'm not gonna probably be able to clean all of this crud off here, but enough to maybe see if anything new or fresh, comes about. So that's it. She's emptied. Let's go up on top and fill it up. So just conventional 5W30 is what we're putting in it. Some of you guys may be wondering, why am I not putting, synthetic or synthetic blend into it? Well, for one, these 3400s didn't require to have synthetic of any kind. Conventional was still a thing back then. So it really wasn't required. And second of all, this engine, the oil is going to be changed pretty often in this thing, so it's not going to matter anyway. I mean, I even bought the cheap stuff, so whatever. If we actually look down into this head, hopefully, we can actually still see the bottom. Doesn't look like much crud has accumulated since I've cleaned these. The valves still look pretty good on this side. I don't know what the other side looks like. Obviously we can, flush stuff out from this side. but nothing looks like it's really sticking in there yet. So they still look pretty good. Car's on the ramp obviously, so you know, trying to check this isn't really gonna work out all that much. Make sure nothing's leaking from the oil pan or anything, or from the drain plug. Filter should be okay. That's from me moving the thing earlier by accident. Let's go ahead and start it up and see how it sounds. See what happens. We're probably not gonna get a low oil pressure light if we have low oil pressure, because of the fact that the sensor, you know, isn't working. The thing I have to change. Here we go. Oh, wait. Almost forgot. Where were we anyway, since 94%? I think that's what it was last time. Let's reset that. Alright. Here we go. Sounds good here. Take a quick gander under here. Looks fine. But it sounds good. Sounds okay. Alright, so that's it for that. And then this is the sensor that we gotta change. See the connector there? And then it screws into the engine block here, right underneath the exhaust manifold. Then obviously the oil pressure is monitored in through that little hole there, and it tells the car whether you've got low oil pressure or not, sending the warning to the cluster. So this is what we're going to change. I'm not going to do it today now because, like I said, I don't have the tools, so I'm going to have to go buy the proper socket and maybe something else to go with said socket. So in an upcoming vlog we'll be doing that very soon. She sounds like she's got good oil pressure, obviously. She's running good. No obnoxious knocks or ticks or anything. So, I mean, hey, we're only 4 days in driving it, and maybe roughly almost 80 miles at this point. But I want to say she's doing fairly well. That's it. I mean, the only other thing I'm really concerned about with cleaning the engine and stuff is the oil, you know, the oil suction pump or suction tube, you know, from the crankcase. I mean, hopefully there's no large debris or anything in there that's going to clog it up, and then we have an oil pressure issue. That's why I want to try and change that sensor out soon. So that's it. That's how it looked. Thought it was going to look a little worse than that, but like I said, it started looking a little normal. Saw a little bit of coloring come out afterwards, and I don't know, we'll just keep an eye on it. Just going to keep constantly doing oil changes on it. We'll probably do another oil change on it, I'm going to say before winter, because I do plan on seeing how this thing does in the snow. So probably winter, right before it gets really, really bad outside, we'll probably do another oil change, and then maybe go through winter, and then we'll do one in the spring. So, like I said, conventional oil, but frequent. That's probably all we can do to keep this thing alive, engine-wise. So that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Check out teespring.com/store/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of your MVS and vlog merchandise. That's it. I'll see you guys next time, so thank you so much again for watching. Take care.